How you doing, everybody? It is a Thursday evening, Thursday night edition of Dennis Phillips Live, and we got some new software on my computer. I'll tell you just how scary tonight was. So we had a complete crash, complete meltdown on my computer, and I had to go in and actually do the technical stuff to get it up and running. So if right now you're hearing me in Chinese, it's probably because I hit something wrong. Who knows what I did wrong? But at the end of the day, we seem to be up and running, and I think we are okay. Maybe not. Let me go ahead and see. I honestly, in all sincerity, might need to do a reboot as I'm looking here, because it looks like we might be frozen. We'll have to look at it. Nope, you guys are there, so it's okay for the time being. So, but anyway, yeah, we got a lot of things coming up over the next few weeks. And what I want to do first of all, and I do see that y'all are here now. How's it going? I want to give a quick weather update, all right? Since that's why some of you are here, and we are going to have some fog issues tomorrow. I'm going to jump right into that, and then after that, we are going to talk to Thomas Dunkel, who is the president of the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club. And I can't wait, because him and his father have been involved in the Groundhog festivities for, gosh, probably over 5 decades, so maybe longer. And I'm sure he has some amazing stories to share. And by the way, Groundhog Day is Sunday. I mean, it's crazy how it snuck up on us, right? All of a sudden, we're already into February. And after the week that we had here in Florida with 10 inches of snow in Pensacola, the biggest snowfall in Florida history by far. I mean, the previous record was 4 inches of snow in Milton. Well, right outside of Pensacola. They had 10. So, I mean, I'm telling you, we obviously want to know and need to know if we are going to have 6 more weeks of winter. And I'm sure that to check. Okay, someone's saying the audio is gone, and that might very well be from the weather computer, but I'm pretty sure that this will be able to hear me. So let me make sure that you're going to hear me on this. I think you'll be able to when you come back. Let me look at your comments. Let me know, guys. All right, stand by. I think we're almost there. Heard 6 more weeks of winter and then cut out. so maybe. All right, we're back now. Good. Okay. So yeah, anyway, so we're not going to do the weather stuff. We have some fog tomorrow morning. I'll tell you that right now. Maybe a dense fog advisory in a few spots. But I do think tomorrow night, this is kind of the message here, late afternoon, early evening, we are going to start to see some sea fog come in, and it's going to be pretty dense. So Max is down, but yeah, we're back with audio for the cameras, which are all that matter. So anyway, Saturday morning, I do think we're going to start to see a little bit better chance of that fog early, and then the front comes through, and then we're good. So after an isolated shower on Saturday, we're going to be back in the mid-70s, and then next week, low 80s, and just an amazing week. But as we've been saying, we've got here Thomas Dunkel. Tom, you are the president of the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club. Welcome to Dennis Phillips Live. How you doing?
Awesome. Thanks, Dennis. Happy to be here.
I'm just glad I can hear you. I'm just happy I can hear you.
Perfect.
I'm sure he's like, wait a minute, what did I get myself into? We can't even, no, there are technical issues that we're working on, but we got this part working great, and that's all that matters.
As long as you can hear me, we're good to go.
I can hear you, and everybody else can hear you.
Awesome.
So, by the way, folks, if you have any questions for Thomas, share them on my Facebook page. I would love to share them with him because I've got a ton of them. So first of all, let's just go ahead and jump in. Now, there was the chance we were going to talk to Phil's handlers, but I'm not sure. We might not be able to make it. But kind of tell me what the pregame festivities are like going on in Punxsutawney right now. And I mean, do you guys tailgate? I mean, when does it start? And how does the event go through time, hour by hour?
I think that the main event will start on Friday. We're going to have our ball, which is a fancy dance where you dress up in your finest, and it's well received. And then we move into Saturday, which has a lot of the festivities that we put on. We have a banquet, which is like a little home, a small hometown banquet that holds 500 people that happens in the evening before Groundhog Day. We have dueling pianos where from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock that our guests will go and consume beverages and stay up till midnight and probably carry that right on through into Groundhog morning, probably. So a lot of activities in town. Our park is filled with vendors and food, and it's a fun happening time in Punxsutawney right up through Groundhog Day.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
How accurate was the movie outside of the obvious waking up day after day after day? But the festivities themselves, and of course the fact that Phil doesn't drive a car into a ravine, but the event itself, was it, for the folks who've never gone, was it kind of like it, or was it stretching it a little bit?
They definitely stretched it a little bit. They depict a Groundhog Day happening at a park downtown Punxsutawney, and that's not where Gobbler's Knob is. Gobbler's Knob is about a mile outside of Punxsutawney, up on a big hill, hence Gobbler's Knob. And we have a big stage, a big amphitheater area that will hold about 40,000 people, and that's how many people we expect on Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is a free event, so all you have to do is just show up and have a great time. This year we added some new stuff. We've got 2 new jumbotrons we're going to give a try.
Oh, wow.
So we have 2 15 by 25 foot screens so that you can see Groundhog Day a little better. And because we're expecting such a big crowd this year, frankly, based on the ticket sales and the interest and just the media streams, I'm afraid we might overwhelm our footprint. But we'll get by and we'll make it work. But so we're going to set those jumbotron, one of them back a little ways, in case people don't get into the amphitheater area and they're out on the level. So they'll have the opportunity to still experience and enjoy Groundhog Day. Because that's our main
like an
goal.
Overflow room, like literally, if you can't get close enough.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So,
that is awesome. So Denise asked a question, and I don't know if this is privileged information or not, but she wants to know, how many groundhogs have there been over the years, and are they always male, or is it?
That is a great question. Phil is 139 years old. Phil drinks the elixir of life at a picnic in the summertime. We kind of have like a Groundhog Day in the summertime. It's called the Groundhog Annual Picnic. And we trek down on stage. Instead of him looking for his shadow, we have this a drum filled with like a super secret elixir that with every sip Phil takes, he gets 7 years of longevity. So, from the Groundhog Picnic, Phil lives probably forever. It's kind of like, there's only ever been one Santa Claus, and there's only ever been one Easter Bunny. There's only one Punxsutawney Phil. Now Phyllis, his wife, on the other hand, she does not get to drink the elixir. Groundhogs.
Phil's a dog, you're telling me.
So, groundhogs in captivity might live, 5 to 7 years. I mean, in the wild, but in captivity, they live maybe 10 to 15 years. So there has probably been, about 30 some Phyllises in Phil's life. But actually, this spring, we had the first pups ever in captivity. We had two baby groundhogs this spring. Their names are Sunny and Shadow. And so now our zoo has four groundhogs in it. The two pups and mom and dad. And this will be, Phil's pretty fired up that he's going to have two kids watching him on the world stage. So yeah, Phil's really stoked about the two pups watching the whole works this year.
I'm guessing Phil's fired up. If he's had 35 wives over the years, I mean, that's
Yeah,
impressive.
and the first children ever. So yeah.
Hey, and I'll share something. So Cynthia asked a question, and she said, "How's Phyllis?" I didn't know who. I'll be honest. I didn't know who Phyllis was. So
Yes.
Cynthia knows the lore of Phil and all about his wives. So that's really impressive. So I got a question for you here. So
Go ahead.
you said that this is a family affair with you because
It is.
your dad was also a big part of this. So how long has this been going on overall, the celebration, and how long has your family been involved?
The celebration started 139 years ago. It was around 1886 that it came to Punxsutawney. Uh, Groundhog Day is about a holiday from Europe that's called Candlemas Day, and that was farmers, and they would have on February 2nd, they would see if it was I think a gopher or something in Europe, that if he saw his shadow, they would be having 6 more weeks of winter. But if it was cloudy and no shadow, it would be an early spring. So they would use that to gauge how soon they would plow, how soon, what kind of stores they would need in their winter store food storage. So Punxsutawney had a lot of Germans, and the Germans brought that tradition back to Punxsutawney and started the Groundhog Day in Punxsutawney. And since then, we have grown every year. And my dad joined the club, probably in the late 50s, mid 50s, and probably through the 70s and 80s, he was the handler. And then the 90s and in the early 2000s, he was the president. So I grew up with Groundhog Day all around me. And my like the groundhog would be at our Thanksgiving dinner. And Phil would be hanging out with us, walking around and throwing them scraps of turkey.
Now,
So
I don't know anything about the hibernation.
I can tell you
I know
all about
nothing
the
about
hibernation.
what's that?
I can tell you all about it.
Okay, yeah, because
Groundhogs are one of the few animals that truly hibernate. Their heart rate will drop down to 1, 2, 3 beats a minute, 4 beats a minute, and their breaths 1 breath a minute. But in captivity, they don't suffer the same things that they do as they would in the wild. They has air conditioning, and he has heat, and he has constant lighting. One of the things that promotes hibernation is the shorter days. So, but Phil will get sleepy. Phil sleeps a lot. Phil and Phyllis will go weeks without eating. They don't wake up, they sleep and rest. But their heart rates run around 10 to 15 beats a minute. They don't drop to truly hibernating. So, they're listless and sleepy, but he's up and ready now. I mean, he's been, checking his weather charts. He's been, read the almanac. He's checking out the flows and his barometer, and he's ready. He's ready to roll on February 2nd.
well, so David asked me a question, and by the way, we've also every year interviewed the editor-in-chief of the Farmer's Almanac. So we do a lot of this long-range weather folklore discussions, and it's interesting because I'll go on TV and I'll give long-range forecasts, and I'm the first to admit that long-range forecasts, at least in terms of what I do, the accuracy is that of a dartboard. I mean, there just is no accuracy. And in long range. This year was a perfect example. The long range prediction for the month of January, when we were talking about it back in November, was a La Nina and warmer and drier. And we've had one of the coldest Januaries we've ever had with 10 inches of snow. So,
I have to tell
go
you,
figure.
I flew down there to Sarasota to visit my daughter Caroline last Thursday. And then I stepped off the plane and it was 50 degrees, raining like crazy, and the wind was blowing. I thought, what the heck? I need to talk to Phil and get this fixed down here, because that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, there were people who were saying that it was snowing in Lakeland and in some spots that same night. So I'm with you. By the way, David is asking a good question. What percentage of the time has Phil seen his shadow, or what percentage of the time does he see his shadow more or less?
Around 80% of the time he sees his shadow, and about 20% of the time he doesn't. So you'll have to do the math if it's going on 139 years. But I can tell you, in the last 10 years to 15 years, that has changed a little bit. There are more, shadows and early springs than there used to be. Whether, Phil's picking up on a little bit of climate change, I don't know. But he doesn't, bother himself. Right. He doesn't bother himself with any world issues. But it just, it has turned out that he is, hasn't seen his shadow more times in the last 15 years than in previous averages.
So you've been around this all your life, seemingly. Tell me, what's your favorite story? What's your favorite Groundhog Day story, whether it was scandalous or whether it was humorous? There's got to be a couple in your mind that you're like, oh, remember when that happened, when you're sitting around drinking a beer with your buddies?
I would have to say probably my very first Groundhog Day. I donned the top hat and my suit and my overcoat, and I parked my truck in the parking lot, and I start walking down towards the knob, and I just get into all the people of the knob, and suddenly I'm overwhelmed by people, and so I'm talking to them, and I really don't know what to say. I'm brand new at it. And a line started to form while I was standing there. So people started taking their picture with me. And I look out at the line like that, and there's like 100 people standing in line waiting to get their picture taken with me. And I'm like a Joe that just got out of his truck and walked up to the golfer's club, and I'm going, what the heck is going on? So yeah, that was and the other inner circle members have all experienced that before, and none of them came to my rescue. So I stood there for about an hour and a half in one spot, freezing to death in my tuxedo, while guests took pictures with me, because they we represent part of Groundhog Day in our outfit, and they love to show that they've been to Groundhog Day, because the thing about Groundhog Day, it's hard to get to Groundhog Day. I liken it to our guests as to Mount Everest climbers. They are adventurous. They are, they do things outside the normal, and it's an effort to get to Groundhog Day. It is cold. It's in the middle of the night, in the middle of a field, and it's dark. And so here are all these people that are so excited to be there. It's been on their bucket list forever. You and I talked about that a little earlier. And so the person to your right has a great story why he's there, and he's so happy to be there. And the person to your left is saying the same thing. So the energy level of how happy people are off the charts. I mean, it's palatable, the happy energy that you can feel at Gobbler's Knob on Groundhog morning.
Yeah, we were talking. It's absolutely on my bucket list. I mean, and it's just, as a weather guy especially, it's just one of those things. But the positivity.
Right, that's what it is.
It's just, right?
Right. It's all about, and they like two people will come and they'll have such an amazing time that next year they come back and they bring 10 people with them to share that experience. So on Groundhog Morning, I'll stand up there and I'll say, how many guests are visiting us for the very first time? And half the crowd will go, ah. And I'll say, cross that off your bucket list. And I'll say, how many guests are visiting us 2 or more times? And over half the people will cheer. And I'll say, welcome back. We're happy to have you. So it's amazing the energy level that happens at Groundhog Day. And I think that's why so many people keep coming back, because it's moving to be a part of it. Like you're at a holiday with a destination. I mean, you can't go to Christmas, you can't go to Easter, but by God, you can go to Groundhog Day, and you become part of something bigger that is just moving. That's why I think it's endeared for so long and is so popular.
And you know what? So there's a lot of people. The movie is always on TV. Like literally, it's always on a cable channel. And I'll be flipping through, and I'll always stop. It's one of the there's 3 movies that come up that I will always stop as I scroll through my cable channels. It's Groundhog Day, My Cousin Vinny, and The Waterboy. And all 3 of those show up.
See, I'll stop at Outlaw Josie Wales as well.
No, that's not on as much.
But the movie has brought, like, the year after the movie, our crowd size doubled. And that was 31 years ago that movie.
95,
right.
I
so
think.
So 31 years ago.
Or no,
so what's changed with the movie is a lot of the people that come with the thought from the movie of like a renewal, a starting over, I'm going to be a better person coming from Groundhog Day. And you'd be shocked that's part of when I say everybody has a story of how they got there. That's one of the stories that you'll hear told is I've watched the movie so many times, and we sell tickets to the events that happen around Groundhog Day online on our website. And we have about maybe 2,500 tickets to events that sell, and 40,000 people are coming. So our 2,500 tickets sell out in about 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And when we now we mail all these tickets out. And a couple of years ago, we tracked where we sent them to. We sent them to 46 different states in the United States. And we sent them to 30 different countries around the world. That's the draw of a little groundhog in Punxsutawney named Phil. It's incredible.
It's a great story.
That many
2 things
people,
real quick. First of all, do you know anyone named Bianca McHugh?
Bianca McHugh? No, but should
As I say that, it's because in the chat, someone just said, woohoo, I'm from Punxsutawney, born and raised, and her name is Bianca McHugh. So I figured I would ask you. Well, how big is Punxsutawney? How many people?
It's less than 6,000. So when you drop 40,000 people, that's hard on our infrastructure. But we love the guests, the people of Punxsutawney. They're so kind. That's one of the things I hear from so many of our guests is how nice the people are from Punxsutawney, because we are thrilled that they're there and we want them to have the best experience that they can.
So there's lots of people on the chat saying road trip next year. So tell people how they get tickets.
All right.
What about lodging? How hard is it to get lodging?
Okay, since your guests are interested in coming, let's talk about how to make it happen and how to make the most of your visit. Plan ahead. Hotels. If you want to come next year, book a hotel now. If you look on a map, there's communities around Punxsutawney that are within 40 minutes. There's a whole bunch of them because Punxsutawney is so small. We don't have much in the way of lodging. Okay. So people stay in the communities around Punxsutawney. So you have to book about now to get a room, or within a few months before Groundhog Day, you're going to stay an hour and a half away to get to Punxsutawney. So it makes it a little more difficult to come and go and enjoy the activities. But so book a room right away. If you can get one in town, that's great for you.
Airbnbs?
You look up, there are a lot of those things. If people, know how to look for them, you can find those close to us and around us. Where you can, if you're going to come with a large group, you get a house, you stay in a house with them. But you get on our website, groundhog.org, and you watch for the tickets to go on sale.
What was the website again?
Groundhog.org.
Groundhog.org. You guys got that? Groundhog.org. Okay.
So you get on our website, and if you become a member of the Groundhog Club, I think it's $15, you get like first access to the tickets. But we save some tickets for non-members for when they go on sale, like a little bit later. But they sell out in about 3 minutes, so you'll be fortunate to get one. Not many people get them, but there are.
When did they go on sale?
In December.
Okay.
I don't remember what the date is in September, but they sell out right away. But if you can get some of those tickets, those events add so much to the day and to your stop in Punxsutawney. But there are guides that are 3 pages long with lots of activities that are happening in and around Punxsutawney that are free and don't take a ticket, that you can go to and have a great time. Like down at the park is great. They play bands all day, the day before and Groundhog Day. And there's food and music and beverage. You can have, a frosty cold one in our park, enjoying the day. There's lots of bars in town where if you look, you go in the right ones, you'll see some top hats in there, having some frosty cold ones on the afternoon of Groundhog Day.
And where would you fly into? What airport? We fly into Pittsburgh?
If you're flying into Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. There's an airport kind of close to us, Du Bois Airport, but it's a little bit difficult to fly into that. You would spend a lot. So most people fly into Pittsburgh, and they'll come to Punxsutawney usually a day or 2 ahead of time, and they'll stay a day afterwards. And now to get to Punxsutawney, to get to Galderslov, you take a bus. We have 4 different bus stations around Punxsutawney. We have one at Walmart, we have one at Aldi's, we have one in our park downtown, we have one at the high school. So we have about 75 buses that are continuous loop from 3 a.m. That's when it starts, till about, the buses run till about noon or 2 o'clock, somewhere in there. To get you up to the knob and then to get you back to your vehicle wherever you may have parked. So you have to take a bus. You can buy, the ticket is $5. That is the only cost to go to Groundhog Day. But you don't have to take the bus. We have parking areas kind of downtown designated for walkers. So if you're in good shape and you want to walk to the knob, it's about a 1.5 mile walk uphill. Outside my well, yeah, because it's the wintertime. When it's wintertime, it's always both ways. But a lot of people walk up to Groundhog Day, and so then it becomes a free event for you. And we're happy to do it. We're happy to have you. So, but my advice is get there early. Don't wait till 6, 7 o'clock to get up there, or you're going to miss it. We have a great stage show that starts at 3 o'clock. And with those jumbotrons, we've made movies. We set up fun stuff. And like Miss Pennsylvania will be up there. We have bands playing up there. Like our governor is coming. Josh Shapiro's coming this year to speak on stage, say hello.
Hey, Tom, real quick. Our streamers are ending in 10 seconds. We're continuing on Facebook. But I do want to say, streamers, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully, groundhog.org for next year. And we'll be back tonight at 11 on ABC Action News.
Thank you.
Okay, streamers are gone, so we're back in. So we can go as long as we want to. So keep on going.
So the the stage show is very, very entertaining, very fun. They have energy. They'll be shooting, T-shirts out at you, and you know, it's just a couple crazy people up there having a great time, and they shoot fireworks right over your head. At about 6:30, there's about a 7-minute fireworks display that is literally right over top of your head. You won't get any closer to fireworks any time in your life, except for the morning of Groundhog Day. You're getting a couple ashes dropped on you. They're hitting that close. And so that at 7:10, our trek will start. The inner circle members will form at there's a area, like a staging area for us, and the crowd is huge, and the state police part the crowd, and we walk right down through the crowd, and they are roaring and cheering and carrying on, and you're high-fiving and just making a big ruckus walking down on stage. And we walk up it takes us about 5 minutes to get down there, and that's called the trek. That's what people love to be part of, that trek. And we step up on stage, and one of the inner circle members hands me a microphone, and I say, "Is the microphone live?" And he says, "Yes, it is." And I turn around and I try and talk to 40,000 people, and online about 100 million people. So the pressure's on, and I somehow seem to manage to pull it off. So I love it. I'm all about it, and I have the best time on Groundhog Day. I really do.
I mean, and you talked about people watch online, 100 million. I mean, it's on every media source out there. I mean, you got the Weather Channel, you got all the networks.
Everyone. I had an exchange student when I was in high school who lives in Dubai, and he said when he gets up Groundhog morning, he says my face is on every single network in Dubai talking about Groundhog Day. I mean, how crazy is that? That's very strange to me.
Well, it's a blast, and I do have a couple other questions. So,
go ahead.
What are the criteria for being a handler for Phil? Like, what kind of special training?
Well, there really is no training. You're part of Phil's life. You spend time with him every day. You feed him. Because groundhogs don't really drink water per se. They get their water from their fresh fruits and vegetables. I mean, we have water running in there for them all the time, but I've never seen him drink water. So he loves fresh fruits and vegetables. He loves bananas, which is very strange because groundhogs have zero shot at having a banana in their natural habitat because there aren't in our region. So, but he loves bananas. So when AJ DeRoom, the handler, walks into the zoo, like Phil chases him around like a puppy. He'll jump up and grab his leg and hope that AJ picks him up because he loves to be scooped up by AJ and held by him. He holds him tight in his hand and holds his, behind in here, and he puts him in the crook of his arm. And he's very comfortable. That's where Phil feels his safest because groundhogs are so low on the totem pole. The predator totem pole is their food for most, predators. So they are slow to trust, quick to bite because they're frightened easily. So like a person like myself that doesn't spend the time with Phil that the handler does, I have to wear gloves to pick up Phil because he could bite me. He has bit me with the gloves on.
I remember seeing outtakes in the movie Groundhog Day, and there were a lot of outtakes where the groundhog was biting everybody.
Yes, he can bite you, but he doesn't bite AJ. He loves AJ, so yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, a wealth of information. I mean, thank you so much. I'm serious.
You're welcome.
We were talking earlier. I was telling Thomas, My two bucket list items in my world are going to a whiteout game at Penn State. I've never been to a whiteout game. And being a Penn State grad, that's really terrible, I haven't. And go to Groundhog Day. And one of our directors, Ron English, and you guys might remember this, Ron went up to Punxsutawney a few years back with his wife and was there for the entire time and just raved about it. And I think he had his gator pajamas on, in fact, I'm sure he did, when he went out there, and he was pretty much in the front row for the actual event, because I saw pictures of it. I mean, so he did it right, and he said it was just one of the greatest experiences of his life. Everybody was awesome. People were so friendly, and it was just a wonderful small town event. But clearly, there's nothing small town about Punxsutawney on February 2nd, Thomas.
No, not on that day. No. Yeah, see, I have 4 daughters, and they are all coming home for Groundhog Day because they're staying at my house, filling my house back up again with their husbands and children to go up to Groundhog Day this year. So I'm gonna have a full busy house on Groundhog morning. So it'll be fun. I can't wait for it.
Well, Thomas, Loretta must have missed the beginning because she asked if you use the same groundhog every year. And we've already established that Phil is what,
139 years old.
139 years old.
It's always been the same Phil.
But he's had about 35 different wives over the years.
Yeah,
Phyllis
Phyllis does not drink the elixir of life. So unfortunately, it's just for Phil because he's the only one who's truly magic. The other ones just live regular groundhog lives.
Well, thank you so much, Thomas.
And Dennis, I loved it, so thank you.
Hopefully one year soon I can get up there and I will look you up.
I will hook you up with all the fun things, and you can get a media pass and work your way right up to the front of the line, and I'll show you a great time. So
I would love that.
The invitation is always open to you.
Well, thanks so much, and good luck on February 2nd. As we all know, if Phil sees his shadow, that means it's 6 more weeks of winter. But if Phil doesn't see his shadow, it means spring has sprung, and it's early spring. I always wondered how the TV camera lights impact Phil, whether or not he sees his shadow or not.
Well, I have a cane that lets me talk to Phil in Groundhogese. That's how we communicate. That cane is handed down from president to president. My father, as we talked, he carried and held that very cane for 15 years. So, when we put Phil upon the stump, so what will happen is that, we open up the stump, and his handler will, gently lift Phil from his burrow and hold him high for all to see in that iconic pose of Phil being held up with one hand. The handler will then place Phil upon the stump, where Phil and I will have a little talk about whether he sees his shadow or not. So, if it's his shadow he sees, it's 6 more weeks of winter. There will be no shadow, early spring. So, because I talked to Phil through, winks, nods, chatters, purrs. So we have 2 scrolls sitting on the stump, and from the discussion Phil and I have, he tells me which scroll to choose, and I hand it to the vice president. And then the vice president reads the proclamation for the entire world, literally. Mm-hmm. So we get a lot of cheers on the early spring, but you get a little you ruffle some feathers in the crowd when you say, "Hey, look!"
You hear people
6
boo.
more weeks of winter, yeah, yeah, a little bit sometimes.
Well, again, thank you so much. Good luck.
All right,
it was
a pleasure. So thank you.
And we will hope to talk to you again next year.
All right, super. Thank you.
All right, Thomas, take care.
Yeah.
All right, bye-bye. All right, guys, that was awesome, and kind of what I expected. I mean, I just had a feeling he's just a good guy. You know what? And what was interesting, you listen to him, and he's like, well, it's $5, to do this, and I mean, it reminded me of when I went to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, as well. For the Little League World Series. I took my son up there, my oldest son, Brett, and you're in a little town, and it was like dollar hot dogs, and all the prices weren't jacked up for everything, and it was just kind of Americana at its finest. I mean, one of my favorite events I think I've ever done. Again, my oldest son Brett and I went up. It was actually as Hurricane Katrina was hitting, believe it or not, in New Orleans. But after Katrina moved across Florida, which a lot of people forget, Katrina hit South Florida first, went across into the Gulf, and then went into the Northern Gulf as a monster hurricane. Once it passed Florida, I knew it was no longer a threat for us, and I begged my boss to let me go because we had planned this trip forever. And I went up, and it was just, again, it was just Americana. Like a Norman Rockwell picture back in the 50s. So it was that kind of a thing. And I think of Punxsutawney and Groundhog Day as that exact same setup. I've never been, but based on what Ron was telling me, it's kind of just the same thing. So I saw you guys post on there, we should have a DPL road trip. That would be a blast. And I would not be surprised if there's some people who wanted to go. I guess the question would be, would we have to fly up? Would we do a caravan? Because remember, early February can get some big snowstorms in western Pennsylvania, as they said it in the movie. So that can always be a little tricky. But anyway, that's just something we were thinking about out loud. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for stopping by. I would show my weather graphics, but I don't have the audio hooked up on that because I clearly noticed. I'm going to have to fix that after this because I noticed when we went to the graphics, you lost my audio. So that's an easy fix. I just have to figure out how to do it. So thanks for stopping by. Great fun DPL. Thanks to Thomas Dunkel, president of the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club, the Inner Circle. And hopefully we'll see you guys on Tuesday. I was going to talk a little bit about the post that I made just before DPL. Maybe we'll do it on Tuesday when we have more time. But it is an interesting discussion. And it's one where I got a message from a very irate woman who said that she was no longer going to follow me because she didn't like me talking politics. You guys know I do not talk politics. I have no interest in politics. I never have. It's just not my passion, right? But so I said, what are you talking about? I have never brought up politics. I don't bring up politics. I have no idea what you're talking about. And her take was when I shared the ABC stories about the plane crash last night, people in the thread were talking politics. And that is true. I saw that as well. It's sad. It bothers me. I sometimes consider turning off comments entirely, but I don't want to do that either. But you guys know me. When people talk politics on this, I ban them. I ban them for life and afterlife. I mean, there could be no greater example that I don't do politics because I literally ban them forever from my page when they get in here and talk politics. So, but yet at the same time, any news story out there, it seems like there are those who use that as a platform to do so. So, I'm certainly not going to not post a major news story, which I believe that there's interest in and people want to find out. And I have a large following. So a lot of times people say they'll hear things first on my page before they hear it on the news because, again, a lot of people check the page. So it's a slippery slope. Do I not post major stories because some people choose to talk politics? Do I post a story and turn off comments? I don't really like doing that either. I feel that's kind of a censorship thing. But, it is I did, Robin. Yeah, I've lost like 20 pounds when I was sick. I'm gaining it back slowly, trying to, but I definitely have. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting discussion, but when someone comes on and messages me, saying, oh, I'm not following anymore because you're talking politics, it's a bunch of nonsense. It's an absolute, and I responded to her, you are completely incorrect because I do not talk politics. Because it's just not my passion. There are some who do, and that's great for them, but it's just not me. So I don't know. You know, I definitely, I'm certainly not going to avoid posting breaking news situations that I think are relevant, but I won't post anything blatantly politics for the very reason, because you're going to tick off half the people out there. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that's the way it works. If you make a statement, half of the world will like you and half the world will hate you. And that will vary from time to time. But this is not my thing. I mean, I prefer people to be friendly and, you know, some positivity. And I try to spread goodwill with a little bit of sarcasm and a little bite sometimes. But anyway, that's just, I thought that was it. And it was funny. I will tell you this, because I'm certainly not going to say a name. But somebody in that thread that I posted said, it was Judy, wasn't it? And I'm like, how the heck? And I said, I cannot confirm or deny. But I found that really fascinating that a person who had a different name than this person who messaged me knew that there was that person. So I don't know how that happened that way, and I'd love to find out how that happened, unless she had been very vocal on another forum saying, I'm not going to follow this guy because he talks politics, which I don't. But I did think that was fascinating. So anyway, you guys have a great night. Hopefully you found some entertainment value in Punxsutawney Phil and Groundhog Day, our DPL with Thomas Dunkel. Thanks, Thomas. Appreciate it. You guys have a great night. And hopefully I'll have all the little gadgets on here fixed for Tuesday, so when we do our next DPL, I'll actually be able to hear me when I'm showing my weather maps as well. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you on our next edition of Dennis Phillips Live. See you guys.